For more on how we could curb some of these fatal shootings, we're joined by Chair of the Institute for Security Studies, Dr. Jakkie Cilliers. Dr. Cilliers, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Why are we suddenly seeing what looks like an increase in taverns being targeted? Are there any particular underlying factors behind this?
Kathy, well, organized crime in South Africa, like murder, has been on a long upward trajectory for many years. I think there's been about a 43% increase from 2011-12 to 2019-20 on aggravated robbery, and murder has increased about 36%. And organized crime is like a balloon. When you push on one side of it, it goes elsewhere. Crime is a minority business of a few thousand criminals that move from the one area to the other. So what we now see as an increase in tavern robberies may just be that a number of criminal groupings have moved into that area as a lucrative area of gaining new money. So I think that's just what we're seeing at the moment.
Does that necessarily come out of this effect, as you're saying, from being pushed in other sectors? Because then the next question is, in which areas do you think that there is this sudden push, and does it really speak to an effectiveness of the police perhaps targeting particular sectors?
Well, it may be. This may reflect that criminals feel that they're under pressure in one area, I don't know which, and therefore they are moving to another area. It also could be a demonstration effect that criminals see that other criminals have had success or that taverns are a lucrative area of operation. But what it does require, it requires focus from the side of the police, and it requires all South Africans. There must be people who know what is behind this and who have information to help the police. The police on their own are not going to make South Africa safer. They certainly play an important role, but all South Africans need to come together to try and bring the scourge of crime down. And it's not impossible to do. There are many examples, including in Gauteng in South Africa, where in around 2011-2012, we managed to bring crime and aggravated robbery down with a focused, clear policing and conviction strategy.
We're seeing the targeting of these taverns on the one hand. We've also seen what looks like an increase in cash and transit heists in recent weeks. And it just makes me wonder, you know, we know partly why it is that criminals would target cash vans. Why would taverns be such an easy target for them?
Well, probably because there's money in safes, because there's cash that they can get. They go where the money is, where there is something that they can lay their hands on, and I think it's as simple as that.
Looking at the capacity that the police have, it's practically impossible expecting that there would be an officer, forget being stationed at every tavern in this country, but anywhere near all the taverns in the country. What's the solution?
No, that definitely is not a solution. What we need to do is work smarter. And working smarter means not reacting. It means investing in detectives, fixing our forensics, fixing our firearms registration system, and therefore investing in the priorities that drive crime. You know, there's this well-known Pareto principle where you focus on where the 80% problem is. There are certain areas in South Africa which are high crime spots, and that's where we should be investing. Bringing in tactical response units or something like that doesn't solve anything. It's investment in those intelligence systems, those smart systems that over time, like detectives, that over time will help to reduce the crime rate.
Of course, we also know that patrons want to visit establishments that are safe. Are you seeing the inclusion, the involvement of more private security by some of these establishments?
Well, it's inevitably going to happen, but that's not a long-term solution. A long-term solution is fixing our entire criminal justice system. starting with the crime intelligence, crime analysis, detectives, and so on and so forth, through to the entire value chain that leads to a suspect eventually being apprehended, that there's sufficient evidence, that he's taken to court, and that he's convicted. Almost all the indices of effectiveness within the criminal justice system have been on the decline for the last about 10 years, yet the police budget has been on the increase. So we are getting less bang for our buck, more or less readiness for our rand in terms of the ability, the effectiveness of the policing and the criminal justice system. To turn that around requires a focus not on visible policing. It requires a reorganization within the police, restructuring, a focus on fundamentals and good management. All of this can be fixed, I believe, through going back to the basics. What we've seen over years is extremely top-heavy policing structure emerging and a very centralized policing, while what we should be doing is pushing policing down to the metros and the provinces, to where the problems are, and to those individual policing precincts which are particularly where crime levels are particularly high.
All right, Chair of the Institute for Security Studies, Dr. Jakkie Cilliers.